How can a deck this cheap be this good? Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm back with another Flesh and Blood classic constructed deck tech video. Today talking about, potentially, the new best deck in Flesh and Blood that costs, yes, a whole $150. That's right, I'm talking about Boltyn, Breaker of Dawn, a 4-intellect, 40 life, light warrior hero that says, as long as you've charged this turn, your attacks get +1 power while being defended by an attack action card. That's pretty nice. You're coming in for 3, your opponent blocks with an attack action, you've charged this turn, oh wait, it's coming in for 4. That thing has a really nice on hit, such as drawing a card. That could be really nice for you, because it makes it harder for your opponent to, negate that whole drawing of card goodness. And as an attack reaction, you can banish card from your soul to give target attack with power greater than its base, go again. Which, thanks to Boltyn's first effect, you can just do for free, kind of, depending on how your opponent blocks. And this deck kind of forces your opponent to block, or else you're just going to get too much value, and it's going to be really nice for you, because infinite value, pretty nice, pretty good, and can win games, I've heard. But so, what does charging mean? What's the soul? If you don't already know, this deck basically plays cards that say charge your hero's soul. So you take a card from your hand and you put it under your hero, into your hero's soul. And you just kind of have those cards lying around under your hero. And there are cards that can interact with the soul, such as Boltyn's attack reaction speed effect that banishes a card from your soul. So the soul is super important, and charging is super important, so you can get value out of your soul, and out of cards that say, if you charge this turn, do this, stuff like that. So the deck, charge into oblivion, get value off of charging, get value off of your soul, play enough things that your opponent eventually has to respect, and then they block it, and then that's good, because then they have less tools to work with. That means that you've slowed down your opponent to a point, gives you a little bit more time to set up, and eventually, you do so much, you accumulate so many little bits of value, you just win the game. And that is the hope. That is the hope for this deck. But getting past the hero and the game plan, the rough game plan, what does Boltyn have as far as weapons go, as far as equipment goes? It's pretty good, because we got the best weapon, the best card in trading card game history here, Raiden Duskbane. I love this card. It is a whole 0 power, 2-handed sword. It deals 0 damage. I mean, that's so good, right? And as a once per turn action, you can attack with it for nothing. So you can spend 0 resources and your action to attack for 0 damage. Oh, by the way, if you charge this turn, it gets +3 power. So that's really cool, because you can come in for 3 damage for free every single turn, so long as you've charged. This card makes this deck. This deck does not exist without this card. This deck is complete and utter dog crap without this card. Which is why I love this deck, because it's all about the weapon, baby, and allowing you to get value off of your weapon, or at least allowing the deck to get to a point towards getting good rate value thanks to your weapon, which is super cool and super fun and super pretty looking. So that's really sweet. So the deck's built around this card. And charging, which is why every single piece of your equipment charges. That's right. I have Helm of Halo's Grace, which blocks you for 2 blade break, and when it defends, you may charge your hero's soul. If a yellow card is charged this way, you get to draw a card. That, my friends, is really good, because, drawing cards is nice. Getting cards into soul is nice. Charging, it's just, there's nothing bad about this card, because it kind of replaces a card in your hand. You just get the filter, block for 2, and put stuff into your soul and charge in the same turn with 1 card. It's good. It's very good. On top of that, you have other cards that do basically the same thing. Bracers of Bellona's Grace does the same thing, but if a yellow card is charged this way, you get to create a Courage token, which is a token that says when you attack with an attack action or a weapon, pops, gives it a +1 power bump. That is power greater than its base. Boltyn can give Raiden Go again because it has power greater than its base. Courage tokens give a +1 power buff to your stuff. Makes the cards have power greater than their space. That's very good. That's very nice. And go again, kind of rare to see. So we have Warpath of Winning Grace, because if a yellow card's charged this way to block with this, just like the bracers, just like the helm, you create a Quicken token, which is the same thing as a Courage, except it gives go again, which in ways is better, in ways is a little bit worse, because breakpoints are pretty important in this deck. You have a lot of things that come in for 3, so that's annoying. But Warpath of Winning Grace, it's a really good card because it can give go again, like how Bracers can get a Courage token, making something greater than space. Helm of Halo's Grace allows you to cycle and charge in one card. And this is the best of the 3 that I've mentioned so far as far as equipment goes. But why exactly do I run 3 cards that basically defend and charge? Because Soul Bond Resolve gets you so much value off of doing that, because when this defends, you may charge a Hero's Soul. Blocks for 2 temper, so you can block with it for 2 and then for 1. That's it. No, it's not. Because the first time you would be dealt damage each turn, if you've charged this turn, prevent 1 of that damage. So effectively what you can do is block with 1 of your pieces of equipment, blocking for 2, charging your Hero's Soul, getting some extra value if a yellow is charged, and thanks to your Soul Bond Resolve, you effectively block for 3. And by the way, it prevents the next 1 damage that would be dealt to you. Doesn't matter if it's physical, doesn't matter if it's arcane, doesn't matter if it's even non-arcane, non-physical damage, which is rare to see. But anyways, the card can prevent damage repeatedly throughout the game. It can block for basically 3. I mean, you have an absolute tank fridge of an equipment suite. And I love that about Boltyn. And it all costs dirt, because this deck costs dirt, because nobody respects this deck, and that's cool. Now you might be thinking to yourself, why, if you know Boltyn, why am I not playing Tunic? Why am I not playing the, what's it called? Card that I'm not thinking of. Iron Sun Versus. Why am I not playing Iron Sun Versus and Tunic? Well, while it's a very big elephant in the room, there is one reason for that. And that is because, looking at the main deck, everything costs 0. Everything is completely free to play. You look at the inventory, same thing, except Soul Shield. The only reason that it's in the deck, even though it costs resources to play, is because you can pitch a yellow to then play Soul Shield, and you're basically blocking on rate, but you also get to put something into the soul. That's really important, and a really nice little combo card, or combo with another card I'll talk about later in the video. But basically, this deck, and the main problem with Boltyn is that he's incredibly inefficient. That really sucks. But if you never have to pitch to anything, that makes the deck immediately way more efficient, because you don't ever have to worry about pitching a card away to basically play more stuff. So yes, you have to charge a card basically once a turn, so you have effectively 3 cards in hand, but most decks have to pitch a card every turn to then play the rest of the cards that they're going to use on that turn, maybe even 2 cards. This deck doesn't have to worry about that. So yes, it's going to have to charge a card, maybe 2, every single turn. But with the way that the deck works now, with everything costing 0, you're basically using the same amount of cards as you would as another deck, as any other deck. But the attacks are still a little bit below rate, but you get to play more. You get to do more, which this deck has not been able to do for the entirety of its history. Now, getting into the main deck, what are the main things that this deck does? Well, I've already said one of the things, and that is charging. So let's talk about all the cards that charge. And I have a couple, such as Beaming Bravado, a 0 cost 3 attack, 3 block. That, as an additional cost to play, you may charge your hero's soul. Pretty solid, because we love that. And if a yellow card is charged this way, gets +1 power. Yes, it gives itself a power bump to where it has power greater than its base, and you can give it go again thanks to Boltyn. so it's kind of like a 0 for 4 go again, except it takes 2 cards to do, but it can allow other things to be a little bit more efficient in the future. I also have the yellow Beaming Bravado. Now, if you haven't already noticed, yellow is a big part of this deck. Yellow is a very big theme in this deck. Yellow, charging specifically with yellow cards and yellow cards going into soul, is a very big part of this deck. So that's why you are not going to see blues in this list. If you have cards in this deck, they're generally going to be yellows, and the rest that you have are a pretty select few. But yeah, Beaming Bravado yellow, also in the deck, same thing, except it comes in for 2. Technically 3 if you charge a yellow card to play it, but still. Very good card as well, because it's a 0 for 3, kind of, go again. And while, yes, Beaming Bravado, you have to have charged a card, yellow card specifically, in order to get value off of it. However, with something like most of the rest of the charge cards, Bolt of Courage, you do not. Because yes, that's an additional cost to play, you may charge your hero's soul, but if you've charged this turn, not to this card, but just this turn, it gets a very nice on hit of drawing you a card. And it's also a 0 for 3, block 3. Pretty much every single card that I'm going to talk about in this section, just to zoom, it's a 0 cost, 3 attack, 3 block that you have to, as an additional cost, potentially charge a card to your hero's soul. If you charge, you get some kind of effect. This card says you get to draw a card, and that is pretty nice, which is why I have the reds and the yellows, just like Beaming Bravado, because both of these cards, as far as chargers go, are the best ones. They are very, 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 very good, because they're just so easy to use and abuse, because Bolt of Courage, your opponent doesn't want the thing to hit, so they have to block. We like that. They have less cards to work with, and if we get enough out of them, enough value off of them, then we can finally kill them. It takes forever, and this deck is impossibly hard to play because it takes so long in order to finally be able to, get more value than your opponent, but it does work eventually. But yeah, Bolt of Courage, Beaming Bravado, I have the reds and the yellows. And Engulfing Light, similarly to Bolt of Courage, so long as you've charged this turn, it also gets an on-hit, except it puts itself into your hero's soul. And yes, this is not as important as drawing a card, and it's not as good, but it is still very good because, again, soul. Gain a lot of stuff in soul, very, very, very important. Simply just for the fact that you can use Boltyn's ability to kind of give your stuff go again. That's gigantic, which is why this 3 of it good. But also why we have 3 yellow, because it good. Yes, it 2, but it could be 3 if opponent block. I don't know why I'm talking like a Neanderthal. But basically, the card, the yellow, is also good, because it forces your opponent to either take the hit, and then you get more value, or they block, and you get more resources out of their hand, and likely can maybe get a power bump onto your stuff, and then go again, go wider, do more, get more value, all that kind of whatnot, or potential value. Let's go with that. So, very good as well. Like Express Lightning, this is very simple. It is a very rare card in this deck because it's a 0 cost, 4 attack, 3 block. That has an additional cost to play. You can charge your hero's soul. Doesn't get any other bonuses, but it is a 0 for 4. And that is important because in the later portions of the game, the fact that this card is a 1 card 4, because yes, it is highly recommended that you charge your hero's soul when you play something that says charge your hero's soul. You don't have to. Because of that, this being a very simple 0 for 4 can matter. Because you, late in the game, you don't have a lot left. You don't have a lot of good tools left. You have this. It's gotta force 2 cards out of your opponent's hand or a defense reaction. And if they do use a D-react, they are very likely not going to have another one. Or at least not another one that you're gonna see, at least for a minute. Unless they're a complete lucky ass. ass. But we don't talk about those kind of people because, well, they suck. But Express Lightning, it's good because it's a 1-card 4. And that is a rarity. Rarity in this deck. Which is why we also have the yellows, because it's just a 0 for 3. Block 3. And it can pitch, potentially, if you need it for like a soul shield. But it acts as yellow. It's just generically on rate and good. And that's something that this deck doesn't have a lot of, so we're happy to see it. But then, also have Light the Way. And unfortunately, this one's more like Beaming Bravado, so if a yellow card is charged to play this, when it hits, it gets Go Again. So, it is much, much easier to get Go Again with this card. But, it still has to hit. Well, this card has to hit in order to get Go Again. And that part of it does suck. Because of that, it generally is gonna screw you more than it is gonna help you. Because this is something your opponent's very happy to block. Because it's an on-hit that your opponent will block pretty much 100% of the time. Because if this thing does not hit, and it doesn't get any more power greater than its base, so they just block with a non-attack, you're not going to be able to do anything with the rest of your turn, which is unfortunate. And that is why I do not have any yellows of this card, because this is the card that you really, truly do want to hit 100% of the time. So, just having a 0 for 3 and potentially 4 thanks to Boltyn, it makes this card a little bit nicer. But that is all the Chargers, main ones that you're going to see. But there are 2 newer ones I still want to talk about. The main one being Saving Grace. This card, still absurd. This came in Armory deck Boltyn. It is a yellow. It is a block 3, 0 cost, Light Warrior D-React. Okay, cool start, I guess. But as an additional cost to play, you may charge your hero's soul. So you could charge on your opponent's turn with this card, which is nice and valuable for a card I'll get to. And if you've charged this turn, target attack gets -2 power. Now I want to mention something. The main reason why I think this card's great, and in the main deck, even though this deck doesn't always want to be defensive. This card basically is the perfect card to combo with your equipment, with Bracers, Helm, and Warpath of Bologna, or Grace, or whatever. Because you block with one of those, you charge your hero's soul, you get value. And you're getting 2 block out of it. Then you block for 3 more with Saving Grace. And because you've charged this turn, thanks to the charging of the equipment that you did, the attack gets an additional -2 power. So you basically spend 3 cards, kind of, to block. Well, no, you're spending 2 cards to block 7. The reason I say that is because you're charging a card to the equipment, and then you're actually using Saving Grace. Now, with something like Helm of Halo's Grace, well, that card basically replaces the card that you charge with. So if you block with Helm of Halo's Grace and then Saving Grace, well, you're using 1 card basically to block 7. That is stupid. So that's really nice, and it's a pretty good card in the deck, which is why it's in the main board, because it is a defensive just gem in the deck. But then lastly is a charger that, ironically, you want to play firstly. Roaring Beam. This card is a new card from Compendium of Rathe, and a very, very good one, because this card, well, pitches for 2, it costs nothing, it blocks for 3, it's a Light Warrior attack reaction, that's always nice to see, and it creates you a Courage token. We love Courage tokens. Those are very good tokens. We love to see those tokens. We love to see a lot of those tokens. But, most importantly, if there are no cards in your soul, you return this to your hand, and then you charge your soul. Well, you could just, turn one, you could play something like, I don't know, a Bolt of Courage, after you've done a couple of things, maybe. I don't know. You play something like a Bolt of Courage. Okay? You don't charge with it. Your opponent's like, okay, I guess I won't block. Well, then you play Roaring Beam, which charges. You have no cards in your soul. This card just, allows you to immediately get a charge. Get a card into your soul. Great start, but charge, importantly. Because then this card says, hey, you've charged this turn. Okay, this gets on hit now. So even if your opponent blocked with, an attack reaction for 3, the opponent's just not going to assume anything. It's like, oh, I drew a bad hand. He can't do anything on, his turn. Well, you can basically just charge now, thanks to, you having no cards in soul, playing the Roaring Beam, getting a Courage token, putting a card into your soul now. Your opponent is now blocking with an attack reaction. This is coming in for 4 instead. It hits, you draw a card, and you have stuff in your soul, and you go from there. And that's really nice, and that's really cool. Now, granted, you are likely going to need to banish a card in order to give this go again, to continue doing other shenaniganry, but still, the card, not Bolt of Courage, though that card's really cool too. Roaring Beam is a very awesome card, and you can charge your hero's soul with itself, which is not something you see very often. So basically, you can create a Courage token and then charge with itself. And while, one card to get basically 1 power is not great, but the whole charging aspect and Courage token generation makes the card more worthwhile than you would think, especially on the early turns of the game, where you don't have a lot in soul. But that is all the charge cards. Let's talk about, all of the cards that benefit off of the charge cards. All the payoffs. So let's start off with another new card from Compendium of Rathe, Duty Bound Blitz, a card that I have both the red and the yellow of. The card, very good. It's a 0 cost, 5 attack, 2 block, go again, if it's the red. And a 0 cost, 4 attack, 2 block, go again, if it's the yellow. And this card can only be played if a yellow card has been put into your soul this turn. That's the catch. A 0 cost 5 attack, go again? That's really good. A 0 cost 4 attack, go again? Still pretty good. But you have to have put something into your soul, basically. Because you're pretty much only going to charge yellows into your soul, but still. And it has to, technically, if a yellow card has been put into your soul at all, it doesn't have to have been charged just as long as it's been put into. And that's important for a reason I'll get to later, but still. Duty Bound Blitz. It's a very, very good card because, it extends the chain and it's an actual on-rate-ish body. It is an on-rate body. It's an above-rate body. And that's something that Boltyn doesn't see very often. And that makes this card pretty cool. So you play it, and it does a lot of work. And it can sometimes not pay off, but that's why we run a lot of cards. A lot of cards. Over 30 cards that can potentially charge your hero's soul. So pretty important card. On top of that, I also have 2 bannerets. The Banneret of Courage and the Banneret of Gallantry. These cards do cost 1. You're never playing these. And if you do, you're going to lose the game anyways, so But these cards pitch for 2, they block for 3, they attack for 4 apiece, but the Bannerets have Soul Flare, where when this is charged to your hero's soul, if it's the Banneret of Gallantry, you create a Quicken token. If it's the Banneret of Courage, well, you create a Courage token. Well, that's really cool because tokens, Courage tokens, Quicken tokens, both of those tokens are very, very well-liked tokens. We love those tokens. So, it's good to see. It's good to see cards that, if you charge, you can still get value off of charging them. Yes, you're losing a card from your hand, but you're still gonna get value off of just charging with it. Not off the whole, oh, because you charged, if this hits, draw a card kind of value. Just the fact that you charged with this card, you're still getting value off of charging with it. And that's nice. But then, well, that's kind of it for the payoffs that I want to talk about specifically. Now I kind of want to talk about, well, the MVPs of the deck. And one of them, well, it's not a payoff necessarily to charging. It's more so a payoff to going wide and banishing a lot of cards from your soul, which is also kind of what the deck likes to do. Battlefield Beacon, a 0-cost 3 attack 3 block 2 pitch light warrior attack action that when it attacks, you choose one for each card you've banished from your soul this combat chain. You may choose the same mode up to 3 times. Create a Courage token, create a Toughness token, create a Vigor token. Vigor tokens do not matter because you don't care about resources in this deck. Toughness tokens, can make your stuff block for more. That can matter sometimes where you need to be more defensive, yes. But most importantly, create Courage tokens. Create Courage tokens. That is loved in this deck. So Battlefield Beacon, making Courage tokens up to 3 potentially is very nice. Especially in a little 1-2 combo in the deck that I love, and I've grown to love a lot in these past few months. Celestial Cataclysm. A 0-cost 7 attack 3 block 2 pitch, go again. Yes, a 0-cost 7 attack, go again. Why is this a 2 of? Because as an additional cost to play, you gotta banish 3 cards from your soul. If you go too deep into, banishing a ton of cards from your soul, banish too much stuff from your soul, then you're not gonna be able to get value for, well, a lot of cards in the future, the most value possible out of a lot of cards in the future, which is why we only play 2 of these. If you want to be really greedy in a certain game, if the game's is going to go longer and you really need to get all of the value cards, all of the greedy cards, then you can put in a 3rd copy of this because there is a 3rd copy of it in the sideboard. But this card I love with Battlefield Beacon because you can play this, 0-cost 7 attack, go again. Great start. That's 7 damage at your opponent. You banish 3 cards from your soul. Then you play Battlefield Beacon because you have banished 3 cards from your soul this turn. Battlefield Beacon makes you 3 Courage tokens. Boom. You basically played 2 cards. You came in for 13, kind of, because the next 3 off the Courage tokens is going to be later down the line, probably on your next turn. But the fact that you can do that, a 2-card 13. That is absurdly valuable, and very good, in my opinion. So yeah, MVPs. On top of that, there's another pretty good card in this deck. A card that's been good in this deck for, well, all of time. Beacon of Victory. A 0-cost 3 block yellow light warrior attack reaction that has an additional cost to play. You can banish X cards from your hero's soul. X cannot be 0. And you can give target attack plus X power. So you banish 1 card from your soul. You get anything in the deck you want. Great start. You give something a +1 power buff. Great start. Oh wait, you can get anything in the deck you want? Oh yeah. If you didn't read the rest of the card, if you've charged this turn, search your deck for an action card with a cost of X or less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Oh, so it's a tutor? Yeah, it's a tutor. That's really good because, yeah, you can banish everything from your soul. Let's say you have 10 cards in your soul. You give an attack plus 10 power. What? Your opponent might just lose the game right then and there. But on top of that, and by the way, target attack gains plus X power. I mean, oh wait, it's not for a turn. Never mind. But so Beacon of Victory, it can maybe just kill your opponent off of its first effect, kind of, to give a bump to an attack, any attack. But on top of that, the fact that it can search for anything is pretty good. Pretty good. Now, what could you potentially search? Ton of cards that I've already shown you. But there are a couple of better ones. The first one being a card that I've talked about kind of many times in this video. Every time in this video where I've said, but I'll get to that later with another card. I'll talk about another card here in a second that'll make this make more sense, kind of stuff. Where it's like, oh, there's a card that works really well with this. I'll get to that in a bit. That card is Blessing of Boltyn. The best card that has been printed for Boltyn since Monarch. Yes, it is better than Saving Grace. It is better than any card that has come out since Monarch. Since this card was printed, yes, it's even better than this card. But it is better than pretty much any card in the entire deck. Because it is a 0 cost, light action aura with go again, blocks for 3, pitches for 2. And at the start of your turn, puts itself into your soul. That's nice. That works really well with the Duty Bound Blitz because it's a yellow card going into your soul. That allows you to immediately play Duty Bound Blitz right off the get-go. It could be the first card you attack with, which is not common. But, more importantly, Blessing of Boltyn says when a card is put into your soul, create a courage token. Oh. That is really good. And that does not matter when it's your turn or not. If you, charge your hero soul on your opponent's turn with something like a Saving Grace, if you put something into your soul somehow on your turn through means such as Engulfing Lights on hit, or other cards. Yes, Blessing of Boltyn says anything going to your soul, anytime, courage token, here you go. And that is really stupid because you can just do so much stuff, so many stupid things. You can just play, an Engulfing Light right off the get-go. Charge your hero's soul. And when it hits, well, boom, you have now charged your hero's soul, creating a courage token off of that first thing. Then you make another courage token off of it going in your hero's soul. You play something like a Beaming Bravado. You charge your hero's soul. Yellow card. It gets +1 power bump. Oh, courage tokens. It bumps higher. It's going to come in for more. Oh, by the way, more courage tokens. Okay, I'm going to come in with Duty Bound Blitz. Oh, courage tokens? Okay, that's cool. Sweet. And then I'm going to play something like Bolt of Courage. Okay, charge your hero's soul. Another courage token. Okay, on my opponent's turn, I'm going to block with Helm of Halo's Grace. Charging my hero's soul, creating a courage token. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I'm going to play something like a Saving Grace. Charge my hero's soul. Okay, I create a courage token. That's really nice. Oh, this cell puts itself into my soul at the start of my turn. Okay, it creates a courage token. Basically, if you breathe when this card is on the board, you create a courage token. And that is really stupid. That is really good. Which is why this card is the best card that has been printed for this deck since Monarch. But then I want to talk about the last two cards of the deck, the main deck. That being Spirit of Irina and Lumina Ascension. The backbone of this deck, with Blessing of Boltyn being the third little part of that backbone now. But so the reason that Beacon of Victory is also super nice in the deck is, yes, you can search Blessing of Boltyn, but you could also search a one-of in the deck. Like Spirit of Irina, a 0 cost, 2 pitch, 0 block legendary item that says if this would be put into your soul, instead putting it into the arena, and it has one simple line of text that matters. When it's in the arena, you may play Lumina Ascension as though it were an instant. So basically, It cannot block. You can only have one copy of it because it's legendary. And it doesn't even really go into soul if you charge with it. Now, yes, it's nice that you still get to charge with it, but it's not going into your soul. It just doesn't even trigger Blessing of Bologna. So why is getting to play Lumina Ascension for instant speed matter at all? Well, Lumina Ascension here is a 3-block, 2-pitch, 0-cost Light Warrior action with Go Again. It can only be played in Boltyn. It says until the end of your turn, weapons you control get +1 power and a non-hit of revealing the top of your deck. If it's a light card, you put it into your hero's soul, and you gain a life. Otherwise, you put it on the bottom of your deck. That's nice. Raiden coming in for 4 now, more than likely. And if it's a light card, which, hey, that's everything in the deck. I gain a life and put it in a soul. That's cool. Oh, by the way, if you've charged this turn, other line attacks on Lumina Ascension, getting past on hit. If you've charged this turn, you may attack an additional time with each weapon you control. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So I can attack with Boltyn or with Raiden twice if I play Lumina Ascension, and I gain an action point because this has Go Again and is being played at instant speed thanks to Spirit of Irina. So I now have 2 action points. That means I can attack with Raiden once for 4, on hit, gain a life, and put a card in the soul, which triggers Blessing of Bologna. Then I attack with Raiden again, maybe hit again, put more stuff in the soul, get more courage tokens, come in for more damage, and if you play multiple Lumina Ascensions, you get to do that even more. You get to gain even more life, put even more cards in the soul, deal even more damage. Now even more so, thanks to Blessing of Bologna. Very stupid. Very good. I love it. It's stupid. I love it. Yeah. Very good card. Very, very good card. Lumina Ascension and Blessing of Bologna. But then, that's the MVPs of the deck. Let's talk about the inventory. And then looking at the inventory, well, we got a 3rd Celestial Cataclysm. Yeah, that's cool. But then we got the defensive tools of the inventory. Soul Shield, already talked about. Basically, you pitch a yellow and you play this, so 2 cards to block 6 at defense reaction speed. And this pitches for 2 itself, so that's really nice. And you put it into soul when the combat chain closes. Awesome. Goes into soul, it blocks on rate, and it's a D-React. Tons of good things about this. We love it. Just like Sync Blow, a classic. The one of very few cards you can play in this deck, in my opinion, that's good, that is not a light card, because it's just generically good. It blocks for 4, it's a D-React, costs nothing, and you may just put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck to then draw a card when you play this. It's stupid. It's so stupid. We love it. It's dumb. There's a reason this card got banned in Silver Age, because it's just so generically good. But, there's also some good aggressive cards, such as Courageous Steel Hand. A Light Warrior attack reaction and blocks for 2, costs nothing. Says if you charge this turn, target attack gets +3 power. That's really good because, if something doesn't have power greater than its base already, I don't know, your opponent doesn't block with any attack reactions, and it doesn't give itself power greater than its base, well, you can just, charge a card and then play Courageous Steel Hand on the card that you just, played that doesn't have power greater than its base. And now, boom, it does. You can give it Go Again thanks to Boltyn. And if it's something like a Bolt of Courage with a really nice on-hit, well, then bada bing, bada boom, it gets to go again. You get to go wider. You get to do more. We like that. That's very nice and very good. Just like with Snatch, more cards being forced out of the opponent's hand because this is a 0 cost, 4 attack, 2 block, on hit draw card. It's generic, yes, it's not a light card, but it doesn't matter because this card's just so good and so broken and so powerful. So we play it because it's just that good. Just like Kabuto of Imperial Authority. If If you play a warrior deck, unfortunately, you kind of got to play this card because if you play against another warrior deck, they're likely going to have it, and it kind of screws you. Because this blocks for 2, Blade Break, and when it defends until the end of turn, opponent can't attack with weapons. Yes, this is also very good against certain assassin decks, but mostly warrior decks. Because, your opponent can't attack with weapons, and warriors really care about their weapons. Especially if it's something like a Dorinthia, Dawnblade Dory, or something like a, Phi deck, or Fane deck, whatever. You just can't do anything because your weapons can't attack. So yeah, Compendium of Imperial Authority is broken. Oh, by the way, we do have a way to prevent arcane damage because that does still matter. Soulforge Gauntlet. A new card from Compendium of Rathe as well. This blocks for 1, which is cool. It has Arcane Barrier 1, which is cool. And when the combat chain closes, if it defended, you put it into your soul, which is also cool. So you, get to block with it against something like a Runeblade deck. You get to prevent arcane damage, which is also really nice. And it can go into your own soul. It puts itself into your soul, which is also super cool. And a card that triggers Blessing of Boltyn. Again, if you breathe when this card's on the board, you're going to create courage tokens. That's cool. But yeah, it's a really good card. And another reason why I personally don't want to run Ironsong Versus anymore, because I don't really want to, switch this out for a Soulforge Gauntlet, and this card's really good in the deck, so yeah. But then you might look at the maybes. Basically, if you want to play 1-cost cards in the deck, and then run Tunic and Versus, because these two are a match made in heaven in this deck, they work great with each other. If you want to play 1-costs, you put in the Prayer Boltyn via the Vanguard, typical goodies. Take Flight, decent card. I personally hate this card. Valiant Thrust, also pretty good. You could play Spirit of War, potentially. It's a card that I kind of think could be good in the deck. You could potentially switch it out with Snatch in the inventory. I personally think it's better than Spirit of War because the card just depends. I don't know. You kind of need to have too many cards in hand for this card to be good, which is why I think it's a maybe and isn't run in the actual list itself, but whatever. But, again, you might not understand why there's 0 1-cost cards in this deck. Well, first off, shout out to Akull Glow. This list is inspired by theirs, and I kind of never realized just how much I hated all the 1-costs in the deck because it makes the deck so inefficient because you need to pitch. And like I discussed at the beginning of the video, that's so inefficient and bad for you. And just having the ability to never worry about that ever again, and then just play cards that make the deck more of a fridge and allow you to play more cards that just allow you to go wider, get more value, be more on rate to where your opponent actually has to respect you, I think just makes the deck nice and better and more fun. And because of that, I just don't think the deck needs any of the 1-costs. It just feels too clunky most of the time. Yes, they can be really dumb sometimes. They can do so much work sometimes. But they're generally more clunky than they are good, which is why they're not in the deck. And because of that, Tunic would only be useful for Ironsong Versus, which, yes, is still a very broken and dumb card. But basically spending an extra, $150 for a nice little 2-card combo. Yes, it's really good, and courage tokens are super valuable in the deck, but I think it's more valuable to have Soul Bond Resolve and Bracers of Bologna's Grace that just block for more, that just allow you to get more value off of a lot more cards in the deck. And also, from a budget perspective, a $150 deck versus like a $300 deck, yeah, I'd rather have a $150 deck and spend money on that. So, yeah, I think that this is the best Boltyn list currently out there. I love Boltyn. I love Raiden. out of every single card in trading card game history, outside of maybe certain Luffy's from OPTCG. This is my favorite card in the entire history of trading card game history. Boltyn is my favorite deck that I've ever played in Flesh and Blood. This deck is a complete blast to play. It's super budget friendly. I mean, $150 is absurdly uncommon for a classic constructed, especially for a fully tuned list that has legendaries in it and has a ton of majestics in it. So yeah, if you want to play Boltyn, the best deck, not really, in Flesh and Blood, then build him for $150 because he is budget friendly and super fun and super cool. And yeah, this deck is super cheap and is way too good for how cheap it is. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, you won't regret it. Check out my other Flesh and Blood deck tech videos. Link's right there. And I'll see you all there. Enjoy.